Good morning, students. Today we are going to start new chapter of politics, chapter number 1. What is democracy? Why democracy? Let us start from the overview. What is democracy? What are its features? In this video we are going to discuss about the democracy and its features. This chapter builds on a simple definition of democracy. Step by step we work out the meaning of terms involved in this definition. The aim here is to understand clearly the bare minimum features of a democratic form of government. After going through this chapter, we should be able to distinguish a democratic form of government from a non-democratic government. Toward the end of this chapter, we step beyond this minimal objective and introduce a broader idea of democracy. Democracy is the most prevalent form of government in the world today, and it is expanding to more countries. But why is it so? What makes it better than other forms of government? That is the second big question that we take up in this chapter. So, what is there in overview? In this chapter, we are going to learn about democracy. We will learn about the different types of definitions of democracy and why do we define or understand democratic and non-democratic government. The purpose behind it is to distinguish between a democratic form of government and non-democratic form of government. What type of differences are there, and what is happening in democratic government, and what is there in non-democratic government, and which government is better, whether democratic government or non-democratic government. In this video, we are going to learn about all these things. Democracy is most prevalent, and this is the form of government that is present in the world today. So why is it so? Let's learn to this chapter. What is democracy? You have already read about different forms of government on the basis of your understanding of democracy so far. Mentioning a few examples, write down some common features of democratic governments and non-democratic governments. As you have already learned about democratic government and non-democratic government, you have to describe about the features of democratic government and non-democratic governments and compare them as well. Why define democracy? Before we proceed further, let us first take note of an objection by Mary. She doesn't like this way of defining democracy and wants to ask some basic questions. Her teacher Matilda Lingjo responds to her questions as other classmates join the discussion. So, what is the question of Mary, or what type of objection she is raising? Ma'am, I do not like this idea. First, we spend the time discussing democracy, and then we want to find out the meaning of democracy. I mean, logically, should not we have approached it the other way round? Should not the meaning have come first and then the example? So Mary has raised the objection that we have spent that about democracy, discussed about democracy, and now we want to find the meaning of democracy. Is it logical that according to her, should not the meaning have come first and then the example? So Lingdo madam responds to her objection. I can see your point, but that is now we reason in everyday life. We use words like pen, rain, or love. Do we wait to have a definition of these words before we use them? Come to think of it, do we have clear definition of these words? It is only so. Do we have clear definition of these words? It is only by using a word that we understand its meaning. Means Lingdo ma'am cleared her objection that we use different types of words like pen, rain, or love. We do not wait for the definition of these words. We understand these words by their name. So, Mary, but then why do we need definitions at all? Means, why do we need definitions? Linkdo ma'am, we need a definition only when we come across a difficulty in the use of a word. We need a definition of rain only when we wish to distinguish it from, say, drizzle or cloudburst. The same is true for democracy. We need a clear definition only because people use it for different purposes, because very different kinds of governments call themselves democracy. So in this way, Lingdo ma'am tried her best to define the democracy and to assure her about the objection raised by Mary. She told her that we need the definition of a word when we feel difficulty in uh, comparing some words like drizzle or cloudburst and rain. The same is true for democracy. We need definition only because people use it for different purposes. Because very different kinds of governments call themselves democracies. To distinguish these democratic governments, we need the definition of democracy. So, Ribyang, but why do we need to work in a definition? The other day you quoted Bram Lincoln's to us, democracy is government of the people, by the people and for the people. We in Meghalaya also ruled ourselves. That is accepted by everyone. Why do we need to change that? So, Divyang also had one question that he explained that democracy is government of the people, by the people and for the people. And we live in Meghalaya and there and always ruled ourselves. That is accepted by everyone. Then why do we need to change that? Lingdo ma'am, I'm not saying we need to change it. I too find this definition very beautiful. But we don't know if this is the best way of defining unless we think about it ourselves. We must not accept something just because it is famous, just because everyone accepts it. Yolanda, ma'am, can I suggest something? We do not need look for any definition. I read somewhere that the word democracy comes from a Greek word, demokratia. In Greek, demos means people and kratia means rule. So democracy is ruled by the people. This is the correct meaning. Where is the need to debate? The definitions of Abraham Lincoln we discussed, and Yolanda cleared that the word uh, democracy has been derived from the Greek word demokratia, and demokratia has its own meaning. In Greek, demos means people and kratia means rule. It means it is the rule by the people. This is the correct meaning. So where is the need to debate? Then again, Lingdo ma'am cleared her doubt, his doubt. This that is also very beautiful and helpful way of thinking about this matter. I would just say that this doesn't always work. Our world doesn't remain tied to its origin. Just think of computers. Originally they were used for computing, that is to say, calculating a very difficult mathematical sums. These were very powerful calculators, but nowadays very few people use computers for computing sums. They use it for writing, for designing, for listening music, and for watching films. Words remain the same, but the meaning can change with the time. In that case, it is not very useful to look at the origins of a word. So again, Lingdo ma'am cleared the doubt of different students, those who wanted that there should not be uh, definitions of any word. Firstly, Lingdo ma'am cleared the doubt of Mary. She explained that we need the definition now because if we want to distinguish different words, if we feel any difficulty in understanding any word, then we need to distinguish these words, and then we need definitions of different words. And again, uh, Lingdo ma'am explained that and cleared the answers and gave the answers of the Yolanda means every word is not every word does not remain tied to its origin, means it does not remain the same according to the time. The changes are also coming, and the words means she gave the example of computers. Mean earlier computers were used for calculating, but now computers are not only used for calculators as calculators, or they are not used for computing sums. Means they are used computers are used for designing, listening music, and different types of activities we are doing on the computers. So means according to the time, or the word does not remain tied to its origin. That's why we need definitions of different words. Mary, ma'am, so basically what you are saying is that there is no shortcut to our thinking about the matter ourselves. We have to think about its meaning and evaluate definition. Means we have to think about its meaning. After that, we have to think about the definitions. Lingdo, ma'am, you got me right. Let's get on with it now. In this way, we discussed about we discussed about the debate of the classroom, in which different students participated, and they debated on different in different ways. So Madam Lingdu answered their questions in a different way, and she was able to make their understanding that we need definition and meaning. In the next video, we will learn about the simple definition, and let's get back to our discussions on similarities and differences among governments that are called democratic. In this way, we learn about a simple definition, and we will distinguish between democratic government and non-democratic government. Thanks and have a nice day.